Okay, I'm Wayne Barrar. I'm a photographer, and I've been photographing now for probably about 25 years, I guess. And in that time, I've pretty much concentrated on a number of key themes in my work that are kind of like tangents to the core interests that I have. Most of them deal with issues around, I guess what we'd think of as issues around culture and nature, and the way that we perhaps define those two words. So I started photographing in the early 1980s, and I photographed generally in fairly small format black and white. And I started by producing a series of work that I still continue really, called Landscape of Change. And I looked at what was really a kind of modified landscape in New Zealand, which wasn't a heavily photographed aspect in New Zealand landscape photography at that time, but it was part of a worldwide interest in landscape, away from the pristine and the beautiful. So my work started really back then. In fact, it's really the same central theme running through my work now. But I've diversified a little bit over the years, and instead of just concentrating on landscape as a place of change in terms of nature, I also often photograph now in laboratories and other institutions and other places where nature and culture kind of come together, I guess, and get redefined. When I started, I photographed little kind of small black and white prints, which I still do occasionally, and I still print them. But they were printed in the darkroom on really beautiful photographic papers, which you struggle to find in quantities these days, unfortunately. And I still have a darkroom in the university I work in, which is here, in fact, just next door, but I haven't been in there for probably 2 years. And since the kind of demise of that, I've obviously, like everybody, started working a lot more on digital materials and practices. It's not completely at the mercy, though, of the kind of technological changes, because I still like to use processes that are actually fairly uncommon, but still absolutely appropriate for what I want to do. So, for instance, here I've got some photographs that you can see. There's a print here, a little blueprint called a cyanotype. There's another one here that are made using a 19th century process that uses a negative the same size as the photograph. So I use a wooden camera, a large wooden camera. That's a 5x7 print. Others are 8x10 inches, a large wooden camera that I use. And I hand coat them, brush them on. There's a platinum print here, for instance. And unlike the digital, or sort of crispness, it's got a soft, painterly kind of feel about it, because the photographs sink into the paper itself. And I'll choose specifically a process to work with a project that suits that kind of approach. Over on the table here, just to give you an idea of the size of the images I'm working with. These images are all from the Expanding Subterra project, which is the underground project, and they're printed on 44-inch wide paper from large digital files shot on film, medium format film, scanned, and then worked on quite significantly to get the colours and all the different shifts of colours that go on in these sorts of places with lots of different types of light bulbs, to get them all sort of evened up so they print well. And that's all done on a colour managed system that we have in the room here. That means that the screens that we're looking at in terms of working on the digital file are exactly the same. They're colour managed and matched to the big printer. And here's a big printer here. It's a 44-inch printer. There's archival links in it, and that fires out the photograph reasonably quickly. It takes a while to print one, but when you print it, you know that everything's kind of set up on it, so you're going to get a really good image. Most of my work, in fact, if I really think about it, though, isn't done here. It's actually done long before it gets to the stage of actually making a print, because with my projects, they're the end point of background researching around the kind of issues and the concerns that I want to approach with the actual production of the art output. So a lot of time spent in a library, finding out about a site perhaps, or an organisation that I want to photograph in. A lot of time is spent on really boring things like getting access and getting permission to take photographs in places that you just can't walk into. The sort of areas where I've been photographing this series here, which deals with biosecurity in New Zealand, and the way that we need to protect our environment from particularly introduced pests and the movement of pests. These are all laboratories, and some of them are in fact very secure places. So I need special permission to photograph in them, and that's all part of the project. So that getting permission, making the contacts, learning about the social circumstances that I want to engage is actually almost more important to me than the production of the work, because in a sense it's all embedded in the